guys, and welcome back to Make the Move News with Porcupine Real Estate. I'm your host, Carla Garrick, and I'm happy to welcome Mark Warden back to the show.
Carla, always good to be with you.
Hey, so I'm so excited. Today we're going to be talking about a new sort of concept. Maybe we'll call it Freedom Files. And basically what I'd love for us to do is to, with your expertise, both in the real estate market, but also as a Politico here in the hotbed of libertarian politics in New Hampshire, I thought it would be really good to talk to you from time to time to get an update on what's going on at the State House and sort of what we can expect. So, of course, you are running for office, so let's start there.
Yeah, great. As some of our viewers will know, I've already served 4 terms in the New Hampshire legislature in the House of Representatives. I've taken a couple years off, but I'm going to get back into the fray now. So running here in Manchester for my 5th term in state rep. You're on the ballot as well. We have a lot of our Freedom friends who are up on the ballot in November 5th, and may actually get into the House next year. So we're starting to look at some of the policy positions, some of the legislation that we might want to put in for next year, and also piggyback on the good work that other reps in the past and currently are doing.
Fantastic. So, let's just get right into it then. Let's talk about, what do you think are some of the things we might see if we do have a good showing, and a good showing, just for folks who might not know, is Mark and I both run as Republicans. We're Republican candidates on our ballots, and New Hampshire libertarian / Republicans, we're kind of in the mold of a Rand Paul or a Massey, like the Republicans here are pretty liberty minded because, of course, we are in the live free or die state. So what do you think's coming up?
Well, what we're trying to do is keep and maintain our Republican majority in the House. And within that majority, it's going to be out of 400 reps, that'd be, a little bit 200 plus, 210 or so is what we're shooting for. But of those 200, almost 100 are part of the so-called Freedom Caucus. And then you and I would be in the Freedom Caucus. This is the Thomas Massey type of vibe we have in the House. So it's a very influential caucus within the majority party. And the Republican leadership, with whom we're very friendly, has already come out with some policy positions that they're really pushing forward that they want the voters to understand right now. And I have a list here, but they said here are our top 10 policy ideas in general terms. And I was very pleased to see number 1 on the list is to expand housing and lower property taxes.
Nice.
So this is a really big issue here in New Hampshire and other parts of the country, but particularly here, we have a low inventory, the so-called shortage of inventory and available housing. So, of course, as free marketeers and light touch government people, you and I don't want to see more government involvement, but surely what we can do if we're involved in the leadership of the party and in the House is to reduce some of the barriers to entry, some of these regulatory and red tape burdens that have been hamstringing builders and developers. And so that's going to be front and center on next year's legislative agenda.
That's fantastic to hear, because it is a complaint we do hear from our other state friends who want to move. Inventory's been tight. Of course, interest rates have been high, but some of these things are going to be changing. So it's, it's always great also to see how we continue to expand sort of both on the liberties we find here in New Hampshire, but then also the groundwork that, our friends and colleagues up the State House have been laying. You've been there 4 times. We have, friends in leadership. And, over the years, we've seen expansions in school choice, and I'm hoping that's going to be a priority going forward. We know that things like the interest and dividends tax has actually been cut in New Hampshire and will taper to 0. So there's a real appetite for some wealth preservation and some privacy issues as well. What else is on your list over there?
One of the things we're looking at is the cost of energy. Now, this is a very long-term topic that isn't easily addressed in any 1 year in the legislature or even 1 2-year term, but energy costs, mainly electricity, are relatively high here in New England. And there are a number of reasons for that. One is we're part of this multi-state pact called RGGI, which has a lot of extra burdens we'd like to get out of that. But also, as most of our viewers already know, we need more nuclear energy. There is a nuclear power plant at Seabrook here in New Hampshire, but in the U.S., I don't think a new nuclear power plant has been built in decades. But we're on the vanguard of a new technology that has already been rolled out in some countries overseas that's up and running. They're being built now. They're called small modular reactors. And these things are much, much safer than the old style nuclear power plants. And they don't need as much water. They don't need as much land. And they can, can fit a small modular reactor on just 1 acre of land with a little bit of water. They can power a town of 20 or 30,000 people. So our friend Keith Ammon, who's a friend of Porcupine Real Estate, is really heading up that issue. And what's fun for a lot of our people, because we have a lot of cryptocurrency folks, is there is a way to actually involve Bitcoin miners with the power plants. And basically the Bitcoin miners would mine when there's a reduced demand. And then when there's peak demand from houses and hot days and that sort of thing, they would reduce their mining. So it's a way to level out some of the supply and demand of the grid. And I think it's an amazing overlap of what we can do with some creative thinking.
And I love it. We've been talking about nuclear for some years now. Keith actually introduced a small modular reactor bill. It did, it was the first time it went in. These are issues that we've learned over the years. You have to introduce an idea. You have to talk. You have to build networks. You have to build coalitions. You have to build alliances in order to get bills passed. And so we're really just on the cusp of a lot of these things. But, the future looks really bright because people who are attracted to New Hampshire are coming here to build. They're coming here to do things that we know will make the future better, peaceful, and more prosperous. I think we only have time for one more, so we'll have to do more of these shows. But let me know your other pick for...
A lot of your clients are looking for a big acreage, and they have lots of trees or forests. And if they have more than 10 acres, they might be able to buy into this program called Current Use, which drastically reduces their property tax burden. But also, a lot of these big acre parcels, there's enough trees on there to actually have some value. So this is just a fun little tidbit since we're talking about politics. State Rep Republican Juliet Harvey Boldia got a bill that passed this year. And what the bill does is it acts as timber taxes levied against property owners after a timber harvest. So bill lowers the taxes, but also removes some bureaucratic red tape. So besides the big aspirational, big ideas that we're working on, we also have these little things where we can tweak away at some of the bureaucracy and make it better for property owners.
And I love that approach. It takes all kinds, right? Like we need the folks out there pushing the Overton windows so that we can get to where we want to go. And then we need people who are willing to do the grind, who are willing to be up there at the State House, making those sometimes frustratingly incremental differences as well. But over the 15 years you and I have been involved in this great state, we have seen it trend only in one direction, and that direction is for more liberty. And I'm so excited to see what we do next.
This has been great, Carla. Thank you. If people want to know more about my campaign, go to markwarden.com, or for both of us, real estate, porcupinerealestate.com. And Carla, good luck to you on November 5th.
Thank you. Good luck to you too. Take care.